Alright, well, welcome to the stream. I'd like to say I'm not feeling that great, but that's okay, because I think this stream might help me to feel a bit better, hopefully. And I can't guarantee that, I don't know, I am going to talk a little bit about what is actually bothering me right this second. It has been bothering me since, well, I think it was, after my appointment, maybe. Yeah, it might have started before that. I don't know. I really don't know where it's come from, but hopefully this stream helps me to feel a bit better. I'm driving from Brighton to Seaford, like in the stream title, and this time I got it right. Last time I streamed, I forgot to change the title, so I may get rid of them. I may delete one and just keep the other and edit the title of the one that I'm keeping. So I'm going to share the stream link to people now, and when they hop in, I'll welcome them as usual. Everything's pretty much going to be happening, and everything's going to be pretty normal. I did test this route a little while ago. If it doesn't end up working, I'm afraid I messed something up, but I will go another. Hello, welcome Hope. If I end up messing up this particular route that I'm sure I tested it, I'm sure I played through it, I noticed there was a problem with it, I fixed that. So hopefully it still works this time around, just like it did before, in a tiny roundabout way. So there is, I'm not feeling 100% well, I'll say that. Which one is it that welcome Lissan as well? Is it this one? I think it's this one. I numbered them and coded them very strangely because I have a spreadsheet. I have a spreadsheet. I know that's a bit nerdy, and I know that it might seem a bit strange, but I make a spread. If I start having problems speaking, I'm ringing for a bloody ambulance. I feel like like one of my grandma's friends right now, because she recently had a stroke, one of her friends, for the third time in a row, and it's clearly some sort of clotting problem, and I hope that she has is it a stent fitted somewhere. I hope that she ends up having that done. Because otherwise it's going to be a constant issue throughout. I'm going to very quickly get a drink and then come back. Alright, well, I've returned and I'm about to start in a moment. Right, let me just fix everything up. Welcome back, thank you. The problem is that I'm not feeling very well. Can't explain why, because unfortunately I'm not feeling any obvious... Why is that on normal? Oh, that's isolated. Nice. Night running, because it is past 8 o'clock. Everything's fine. That's the track side, or is it? No, that's the platform. That is indeed the platform. So, I am quite tired, but I really shouldn't be. Just for some indication, I woke up at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That's UK time, which was, counting back in my head, 9 hours ago, pretty much. So 9 hours ago I woke up, and I'm usually tired when I wake up, obviously, and then I wake up and then everything's fine. But for today and at least yesterday, don't know if it was the day before, I've been very tired indeed. It's like my whole body just wants to stop working. And I don't know why. I'm fully conscious and awake. All I'm really doing is yawning now and then, and if I'm yawning at 5 o'clock in the evening, it's a bad sign to me. That's what I'd interpret it as. We will be seeing some more trains on the route that are coming towards us. Has one already arrived? One should be on its way somewhere. No. Let's have a look. Pretty sure one is still to come. Oh, there that is. So, because I'm feeling quite tired, and I know this isn't normal for me, because I think, oh well, I've just been to sleep, I've had enough sleep, so why am I still tired, or why does my body still feel tired? And then I haven't got a clue as to why. It could be any number of things. I could have, for example, an infection somewhere. I could have... Could be depression. Could be that I just haven't got enough sleep, even though I'm pretty sure I have. Could be, well, anything from coronavirus to an infection to I don't know what else. At the end of the day, I'm not feeling my best, and that doesn't make any sense to me, and I don't like when that happens. If it is depression, I've probably got a little bit to be depressed about, not sure. My dad got his COVID test back, and it came back positive, and my mum is living with him, and she has breathing difficulties because she's got COPD. And why the bollocking hell is it not opening on the right side of the train? That's annoying. It was doing that before perfectly fine. Oh well. She has breathing difficulties because she's got COPD and liver problems. and fucking everything else under the sun that she's been dealing with ever since I was born, and before that even. So before that, let me see, what was happening before I was born? I need to remember now. There's a long list of things that she suffers from. Some of it doesn't really relate to an effect of what effect coronavirus would have. She's got a very, I think she's got a very poor immune system. She has a fatty liver. I think she had celiac disease, I think, on a, no, Crohn's disease, right. She's got Crohn's disease and she's got COPD as well. Which is chronic obstructive pulmonary disorder. Or disease, actually, it's a disease. So that's all of that. And I'm kind of waiting for... The good news is she called today and she's fine, apparently. She called yesterday, she's fine. I don't remember when he got his COVID test back. My mum did come and visit us on Sunday, and that was... no, not Sunday, Monday. See, I can't remember anything. And on the Monday she only came here for about 10 minutes, if that. But if she has spread it to me, that means I've probably spread it to my grandparents, who are also going to be considered vulnerable because of their age. So, great. Wonderful. Now, it's not confirmed whether she has it or she doesn't have it. For all we know, my dad hasn't spread it past him. Because it is possible for somebody living in the same household to not pass it on. However, 2 weeks is a long time to wait before I know it's out of his system. So maybe I'm depressed about that, because that's on the back of my mind, and I haven't actually told anyone else about that because I was already worried about coronavirus before all of this. I was sort of waiting. I thought, well, it's probably very inevitable that someone close to me is going to get this bloody thing, because everyone else in the world is a useless bastard and they should all be cold. If they can't stay indoors, they should be made to stay indoors. So she might have passed it on to me, and that might be why I'm feeling so bloody tired, and I just want to go to bed. I also feel like being sick, but I don't think I am actually having any stomach problems. I don't think that's the case. I could be depressed about losing all my teeth, because they will be taken out, and they will be taken out. They have to be removed, otherwise I'll have a very painful cyst from the infection that's currently in my mouth and has been there since about before December last year, so hooray. I might be upset about that. I might be upset about a lot of things. All I know is I'm not feeling normal. I hope that she isn't feeling normal. I mean, I hope that she is feeling normal. Wait, did I say... See, I can't even remember what I said. I hope that she is feeling normal. Right, yeah. Because I thought, right, if she gets it, it will most definitely kill her. There's no other way about it. Put my mum in a bubble. And to tell you the truth, I don't know how my dad came across getting it. I don't know where from. He's a big useless fucking tit. Yes, I had a shitty childhood. Yes, I was depressed. but I'm not living with him at the moment. It's just I'm annoyed because he's the one that brought it in. As if I didn't have enough reason to dislike him. But there's that on top of it as well. I haven't told anyone about it. This is the first anyone has ever heard of it. So maybe I'm just depressed. I know I feel depressed. Issue is it depression that's causing this, or do I have coronavirus and should I neglect and should I avoid making contact with people? I am coughing, but that is because of that's not because of coronavirus, I know that. It's because there's mucus in my throat. That usually happens, that's a normal thing. Just clearing it. Sometimes happens when I speak. It's pretty much normal. It'd be a good idea to maybe quarantine for a bit if you're not sure. I am. I don't go anywhere. I have been looking. I'm kind of subtly keeping an eye on my grandparents. I'm looking at them every now and then to check whether they look well. I sort of think if one of them falls to the ground very suddenly, then I know what it is. Because nothing else is going to affect them that badly. Well, they both have high blood pressure. One is borderline diabetic, the other one... No. One is borderline diabetic, the other one is not. One has passed out, though that before last year, passed out last year, but that was because of the new medication they put him on. Sorry all this is happening. Well, I knew it would infect somebody that I knew, because I've been looking in the fandom and I've sort of been noticing, why is everyone getting fucking coronavirus all of a sudden? We're a tiny community. The odds of this many people being affected by it are very small. Talent 2 train going past there. I made that livery for it. It's quite crap, to be honest with you. The livery designer doesn't have many features. They are talking about enabling more layers, but that really doesn't help. It's more to do with the shapes and how it displays them. That's the drawback. If they were to enable all of the layers that are available with it on a PS4 or an Xbox One, a PC would be totally fine, but an Xbox One and a PS4, no. It would just say, fuck you, sucker, I'm turning off because I can't handle this. It really can't handle that many things at a time. And I thought, that's impressive if it can knock out a PS4 if all the layers on the editor were enabled. I thought, do I really need that many layers? Probably not. The issue with is what shapes I have right now. And I know on PC that you can make better things because obviously you can import stuff. So yeah, I don't know if I'll be using that very much. I'll probably just be basically changing the colour of something if I don't like it, as it is at the moment. But that's about it. Making anything really interesting is going to be quite difficult. Plus it takes a long time. So I wonder if I am just depressed. Honestly, I don't know. I go and see the doctor, but I know not to go if I've got symptoms, and technically this is a symptom. And also because of the positive test, I really don't want to go to the doctors. but I also then want to know why it is that's making me feel unwell. So it's a double-edged sword, really. I could ask for a home testing kit, but then I'd have to sterilise the bag I'm putting it in. At least I think that's what I'd have to do. Just to make sure the other person on the other end, if I am infected, doesn't end up getting it. The one who's actually reading the test. I could ask for that, although I know that because we're getting so many cases every day, and because we've got a new strain of it, because we made that, because we're fucking idiots. Human beings are good at messing things up. Because we've got a new strain of it, they're actually expecting there to be a lot more infections. So, because of that, I'm gonna hasten a guess and think that the orders for home tests are going to be through the bloody roof. So I'm probably not going to get a home test until about end of February sort of time. By that time it would have passed through my system already, and whatever is going to happen to my grandparents would have happened if it's positive. So hooray, hooray for everything. Now I did have a home test delivered last year, and I did give that to my dad. That came back negative, so that was a waste of a fucking test. And he managed to get one through the mail, home testing kit, and there are places that you can go to go get tested. There's only one problem: you have to be in a car, and I can't drive. So yeah, brilliant job, UK government. Slowing down to 10. I'm so annoyed. I don't want this stream to be just all moaning though, and all moaning and groaning, because that wouldn't be right. Ooh. Why am I feeling slightly sick? That's strange. To be honest, that's not strange. I was feeling the same way yesterday and nothing happened, so don't think I should be that worried about it. What is it that I'm actually driving? I know I'm driving a 377, I'm just... Nope. Can't seem to figure out which version of it is. Am I driving the regular version or one of the other ones? 'Cause I know that... it doesn't matter. I'll just open the doors on the wrong side. Plus 101. Answering a question from last time. There is a reason that Class 101s do have gears. It's because the engines have gears. And some of the engines were made by Metro Camel, which is obviously they make engines. And then the other ones were made by Rolls-Royce, and Rolls-Royce does make engines. Makes very bloody good engines, makes jet engines. As well as the ones you put in a car, and obviously the cars themselves. But the cars themselves are actually made in Germany, because it's owned by the Germans now, because the British can't pay for jack shit. Because most things that are supposed to be British manufacturers are actually owned by countries other than the United Kingdom, because they were all sold off at one point. Do I live in an area where there's farmland? The answer is both. The answer is both. I know that doesn't make any sense for it to be both, but it is true. So there's obviously houses where I live, but then there's also fields. So I'm in houses, a small cluster of houses surrounded by fields on two sides. I'm between farmland and the city. You are in the suburbs then? That's where technically I am, but the reason why is a bit strange. British cities don't work the same way as American cities. American cities have been planned out from the very start. And they're very easy to plan out because they're based on grids. British cities are not based on grids, they were based on it will expand on its own. So every city in the United Kingdom started out pretty much, it was depending on what era it was in. London started out as a Roman fort. York started out as a Roman fort, and then outside of the Roman fort you would have all the farmland. But then as people would move out, they build more and more housing, it expands like a big circle. Near enough. And then once upon a time in the 20th century they started building little branches sometimes, so they didn't expand in more of a circle, they just had bits that went off in different directions. Leeds, I believe, is a more recent city which was built along the River Aire. Most UK cities are built on rivers because rivers are used to transport things. In America it was more of a different story because America in reality doesn't need rivers. By the time that America was growing, all you really need are roads and horses and carriages. And by the time America was really getting going, it was the railway that was the main method of travelling very long distances. And I can't remember, one of the companies that you have started out as a mail service from one state to another, which eventually went to multiple states, on horseback. And I can't remember what it was, the name of the company, but it started out as some guy would get on a horse with some mail to go to another state. Let's say he was starting in, and I need to choose a Midwest state. Let me try Kansas because my boyfriend lives there. So let's say Kansas to California. And an American guy would get on a horse at one of the post stations carrying all the mail, and then he would ride the horse flat out for about 30 miles as fast as he possibly could, where another horse would be waiting, and he'd jump on that and he'd ride that to hell, and then he'd jump on another and he'd ride that, and he'd jump on another and ride that. And that was how they got it so fast. So rather than riding one horse all the way, which would have taken a while because horses need a rest and they need water and feeding and all of that, they would just do that instead, to make sure that things like mail would get to where it needed to be. Thank you, DSD. So that's how that started. That was the whistle board, I'm just pressing the horn. Oh, I'm not going to be able to slow down in time. Oh well, doesn't matter. Ooh, went past. Oh well. It's a video game, it doesn't matter. No, I don't want the door to unlock. I actually wanted to slip back into reverse, which I just did. That's the right doors. It's the opposite of where it should be. That's not meant to happen. No idea why that happens, but so what. So, yes, I am surrounded by fields on 2 sides. Technically 3. But then the rest of it would be an actual town. And the reason it's like that is because of the way that British cities have kind of worked over the years. So Leeds is a city on its own. And the town that I'm in, Morley, used to be its own thing, run by its own council, and because it has a town hall. So it used to be its own thing that would have its own council and its own management and policies and all that. But since the 1970s, Morley has been incorporated into Leeds as a part of it. So Morley would have expanded on its own, as its own thing, but then Leeds was expanding so fast that it was expanding to next door to Morley, so they just thought, fuck it, let's make the two part of the same place and run them using the same council. The cities of Bradford and Leeds are very, very close together. In fact, they are technically connected to each other, because both of them have been expanding towards one another. So then Leeds and Bradford have parts of that are touching each other. Whereas American cities will just go on forever and then stop at some point, because American cities were designed on a grid-based system. And I believe the first grid-based system was in Washington DC, where everything is designed in squares, which is why everything is so straight and why your roads go on forever. Or it seems that way anyway, just by looking at them. City planning. But it went, the reason why is because of the time period in which America started to develop. Europe has been developing since pretty much the dawn of measurable time. And that's why everything is not, the roads are not completely straight. There are some straight roads, but for the most part they do curve and move. And are planned in such a way that there really is hardly any planning. It's individual segments that are planned, not a whole area. So American cities can expand very easily. European cities not so much, because it's a crapshoot which way it's going to expand. Choo choo. I am going to get a red signal up ahead, but that doesn't mean I've reached the end of it. And I was wondering why I got a red signal until I figured out why last time when I ran this on my own in private. Past 66 with some hoppers. Very nice. I know they're on the wrong side, but the game seems to think they should be on that side. The platform is definitely not on that side. Either way, oof. You know, to be fair, the infection rate for coronavirus is kind of high everywhere at the moment, to be honest. Oh, to live in a little village somewhere in the middle of nowhere and nobody will come and bother you, except everyone has been bothering. There are people that I'm incredibly annoyed at, because what they've been doing is they've been going to villages. So the people who can't wait to go on holiday have decided, let's go to the English countryside and stop at a small village whilst we do so. Because the options are so limited, they've all gone to the countryside. And when they need something to eat, they will go to the villages. And the villages were pretty much not getting any business whatsoever. Now they are getting lots of business. The only problem is now they're getting more infections, because loads of idiots keep coming and bringing it over. And I'm with them on that. So much so that the councils that are running those little villages have had to come out and say, don't freaking come here. Now I want to ride a train. Why do you want to ride a train? What have I said just then that made you ride a train? Small villages getting an influx of coronavirus from people who are going from... Is that setting off? Yes, it is. So the high-speed train is coming towards us. It'll be passing us. Because it's a single track from this point onwards, only one train is allowed on this track. And it's that one at the moment. That's why I'm getting a red signal to stop here. And I have to wait for that to change to green, and then I can go. And I know that because I set it up to come here thinking it was a double laned, double track layout from here on, and it wasn't, and I ended up sitting here for over 10 minutes. And I realised, oh, it's because that was in the way. But I changed it so that I don't have to wait 10 minutes, it's coming at the moment. Either way, I get a little break to sit down and talk about stuff. I've only ridden a train a couple of times in my life, but it's nice. You think it would be boring because it's the same track over and over again, it can't deviate from it, but actually it's quite charming in a way. The railway community does have its fair share of snobs, pretty much. There's a lot of people who say that, the people that say, oh, I hate pacers. If you're wondering what a pacer is, it's a small commuter train, kind of like this, except not really, that was introduced in the 90s to replace the ageing fleet that we had before. But they were made cheaply, and safe to say they're not very luxurious. But to be honest, oh, there's a ferry honking its horn somewhere. Oh, it's that. But they were made cheaply because, let's just be honest, saving money as far as public transport is concerned is a good idea. But because they were made cheaply, people like to complain about it. Oh, it doesn't have any USB sticks. Oh, it doesn't have any... Oh, it's uncomfortable in my seat. So fucking what? Sit down. So what? I thought they looked charming. I thought charming little trains when I first saw it. I thought, oh, these things must be awful. No, they're not. They're not awful. They're perfectly fine. Rail travel was never meant to be super luxurious anyway. Even in the original days it was kind of lacking. So I don't expect much when I get on a train, I really don't. Just a seat to sit on and that's it. It's really all you need. I do understand when people complain about how much it costs to use the rail network just anywhere, especially in places like London or anywhere down south, because it gets more expensive the closer you go to London. I understand why, because to buy a ticket to use for a month, it's a lot of money. I forget how much. To buy it for a year, I think it's over £1,000, maybe even £2,000, which is a lot of money. That'll be about $2,200, maybe, something along those lines. That's for a year of pretty much unlimited travel, but most people get that because they're going to work in the morning and they have to use the train. I can understand why people complain about something like that, but everything else, I think, yeah, it hardly ever runs on time, but at the end of the day, I don't think that should really matter too much. I do wish it ran more on time. I thought, I wonder whether I should do a touch of train spotting myself. Oh. High-speed train pulling in beside us. Now, is he going to leave me enough room? I always wonder about that. Why do I say he? Why do I say he when it comes to things that are sort of inanimate objects and the gender of the driver is undisclosed and I can't get close enough to see him with the camera? Great. Why do I always say he? I suppose I'm giving a personality to the train. I'm giving it human qualities as if it is a thing on its own. Because I don't care about the driver. The driver could be anyone, but in this game it's the AI. So technically it doesn't really have a personality of its own. It just does what it's told. Because we gender things we ride. You know, when my mum is driving, and there's a bus driver who doesn't know what they're doing, I say they because it's important for this next bit. She always says, and I quote, "Why hasn't he left me enough room?" or "Why is he pulling out there?" And I've sort of worked out in my head that she's not referring to the driver, she's referring to the bus itself as if it is in control of what it does. I thought we revert to why hasn't he done this or why hasn't he done that when we're on the roads, because we like to give a personality to something that we can't really. Truth is, a car doesn't drive on its own and a bus doesn't drive on its own, it needs a driver. But I think when we're on the road we don't really care about the gender of the driver, we pay attention to what it is itself, as if it's the thing that's in control of its own actions. Of course it's not. Also other languages do this. I know French does. French genders everything. Spanish does. German, I think, doesn't. Yeah, that's a loud horn. I can hear it from all the way over here. That's not my horn, that's the horn of a ship, but whatever. Spanish does, and French definitely does, because I know that. I don't know of other languages that do it. Maybe German does as well. Perhaps Portuguese. La naranja, the orange, the fruit. La meaning... Is it la and las? Is it la and las for Spanish? It's le and la for French. Le singe et l'orange. The monkey and the orange. I don't know why that is, it's probably the name. There are caravans here. Hey look, there's an actual pedestrian. My goodness. Just feel quite empty at these stations, but granted it is almost 9 o'clock at night, so are you waiting to get on there, sir? Do you need me to open the doors on this side? Because the game is so stupid that it hasn't realised that I'm supposed to be... No? Well, you are being very safe there, because you are behind the yellow line, and that's important. I could do some train spotting of my own, I suppose, if I had a decent camera, and... which I don't. I honestly don't. My smartphone camera is so crap, because it's an old model of smartphone, because I'm one of those people who doesn't really care about what I use. Which people my age would probably find a bit crazy. What? You haven't got the latest version of the iPhone 505? You haven't got the latest Samsung Galaxy? I don't know why I'm using an American accent. None of my friends in real life, I don't even have any friends in real life, are American, but there you go. No one around me has that accent. Oh my god, you don't have the iPhone 556. My god. How will you cope? How will you live? Just fine, actually. So long as I can make a call. Particularly, I don't really care about it. The only thing I use my phone for is playing Pokemon Go now and then. I used to do it once every day, now I don't. And looking on Discord to see what messages I have in the morning, because I usually have it on desktop, and obviously the laptop isn't turned on when I'm awake first thing. So I just check it using that. But that's it. Otherwise, don't use it for anything else. But yeah, I suppose I could do some train spotting. My granddad used to do that. That's basically just watching trains go by on a track, and you make a note of the model number, if you can remember, or what type of train it is. Back in the time when he was doing it, they were all steam engines and just a few diesel ones. So I probably wouldn't be able to note down the exact number that is on the side of the train, because one, I'd be probably too far away to read it, and two, I don't really care about that. But it used to be really easy with steam engines because a lot of them had names, or a lot of them were so similar to each other they were pretty much considered the same thing. So you could say, oh, I saw the Sir Nigel Gresley today, which is the name of a train. I saw Mallard today. Oh, hell. Yes, there is a train named Mallard. It's the blue one. And they are very pretty things. So this one is 377455. So 455 denotes the number, denotes the number it was given when it rolled off the assembly line. So 377 is the class of the train, and then 455, this is the 455th train under the 377 class that was built. And the game does randomise these, but it randomises them to a realistic specification. So if there was only 455 class 377s, and this would be the last one ever, but they would randomise it so that you would get the numbers in the fleet that are in there in real life. So this is Southern, I think this is Southern Rail, the operator behind this train. So if Southern Rail bought, I don't know, number 200 through 455, it would model all 255 of the ones that Southern Rail would have, and it would just change the number on it. And even in the next update there is a train that, I'm going to look this up now, because I'm going to need to, I'm assuming that I know what it is. I know what was said, I just don't know what it looks like, but it is a special train. Ah, here we go. So, there is a okay, so the South Eastern Railway Network, which is the one that's coming in the next DLC for this game, which I am picking up, has a train in the fleet called the Trainbow. And the Trainbow is a special, it's got a special paint scheme on it. And the train is it's got a special number for it, and I don't know which one it is. Ah, here we go. It's 395012. It's a class 395, which is a high-speed electric train, which I am going to be driving in the next DLC. And the developers did model this train in the game itself, so there is a chance we might see it. I say a chance. I don't know how many are actually in the fleet off by heart. I think it's about 30 something. But number 012 is the Trainbow. The Trainbow has a rainbow on it, and that's to celebrate Pride. And GWR also has a train, and actually there's quite a lot of different operators that have trains with rainbows on them. So that is a special model that is going to be in the game. And if the game chooses model 012 of the 395, it will be the one that has the rainbow on it, but every other one won't have it on, because it's only that one in real life that does have it. So there is a chance that we would see that. Now I can't really guarantee it, because I don't know what the model number is until I get in the game itself after the loading screen and it picks them randomly. But I will try and get it for you. And if we get lucky and we get that one, then that'll be quite special. So if I do it randomly while I'm off camera, then I'll record it to show that yeah, I have got it, and feature it in the video. But the chances of us getting it on stream, unless you want me to keep going back into the game and then back out of it to check which one we've got, I can't guarantee it. It would be nice if it let you pick it, but it doesn't. So yeah, that's exciting, isn't it? That's very furry, because of pride and all that. And also very appropriate to me. But yeah, that was nice of them to do that. There's a lot of trains that have that. If you just search up Train Bro, Train Bro is just the generic name that railway enthusiasts give the paint scheme on it, and there's lots of different trains in the UK that have a rainbow on them. So you can search it up and you'll be able to see it. I'll probably be able to post the link in the stream somewhere. Yeah, I'll post it now, why not? Let you guys have a look. There you go. I am feeling a little bit better, that's probably because my attention is divided. And I will be right back. And whilst I'm gone, I'll try and decide what I'm going to do next. Right, I have returned. I didn't really think about what I was going to be doing next, but... can do anything pretty much. There are some on Northern Transpennine I'd like to test. Can't remember which one it was. I think I've done that one. This might be the one that I want to test. This is from... I think it's from Huddersfield. No, it's from Leeds. This is the one that's coming from Huddersfield. Yep. And by testing out, so that I can use it in a proper stream at some point with a different train, so it will be different and probably maybe at a different time. But by the time I stream that, you might have already forgotten that I've already done it, so that's why I'm kind of doing this. The stock market got exposed for being manipulated by uber rich people. Honestly, it's always been that way. Also, I will give you all a little bit of a choice. So what I could feasibly do is I could use the... If you wanted to see me use the Trainbow 395 in the next DLC, I could do it on stream. What I could do is keep trying until I get it, and then I'll start the stream when I do. I can't guarantee that it will happen very quickly. It might make the stream very late. It might be that I just get really frustrated because I'm not getting it because it is once again random. Or I wish that it wasn't random, but it's just the way that the game operates for everything. So if it let me do that. I may make special rainbow versions of trains that I can do in the... I can make rainbow liveries of the other trains in the game. I can just put a rainbow on it. So pick a colour and just put a rainbow on it. I feel like kind of doing that already because, oh, just representation and pride and all of that. I just thought this is it's a very cool thing that they're doing that, I think. And I think it's even nicer because they're not doing it because they're being forced to. No one's actually said you should do this. Also, some government agencies have been bringing out special lanyards and badges. So if you are a member of the LGBTQ plus group and you do work, there is a chance that the company may offer a rainbow lanyard for your badge. You know, everyone's got a name badge around their necks. And I know they do it on the railways because I've seen it. And people who are members of the LGBTQ plus community have special rainbow lanyards for their badges. I thought that's great. That's wonderful. And I know that my work coach, she had one as well, which is great. And she doesn't work in the railway industry, obviously. She works in well, Department of Work and Pensions, but still. I thought that's great. If I ever worked on the railway, you bet your ass I will be getting one of them. I think that's bloody adorable. And if I ever do end up applying, well, I am going to apply to be in a member of the police, not an official officer, but a PCSO, which is Police Community Support Officer, which is basically a glorified, I don't want to say glorified parking attendant, someone who is actually on the streets patrolling. I don't get a car because I can't drive. The most I will get is probably a bicycle. But my job is, if there's something happening on the street itself, I don't know, somebody getting mugged, or shoplifting or anything like that, then I'm in charge of seeing to that first, because I'm actually there on the street, and then I let the other officers attend afterwards. That would be basically my job. And I'm a bit angry that some people in the fandom seem to not like the fact that I want to go and do that. And I personally can't understand why. The Class 101 next to us. I can't understand why. Because the UK police force is different from the US police force, obviously, because it's a completely different country with completely different laws. And a lot of the police force is actually non-white. A lot of the police force in the UK is actually non-white. Well, I say that a lot. A sizable number. But there are lots of protections for everybody of every race and gender and ethnicity and religion and sexuality and all the above things that can change. Basically what I'm trying to say is, it's a different ball game, and I'm doing it for employment, so I'm not an aggressive person. I say that and I got annoyed earlier on, but I only got annoyed because I was feeling, well, I'm still feeling unwell. But I'm not an aggressive person towards really other people unless they are doing something actually wrong, like, for example, going out in the middle of a pandemic without a fucking mask on. Now that does piss me off, but my job will be to tell somebody to, well, to put on a mask on or go home. And I think that that's a fine job, and I think people should be doing that. I think that's a perfectly acceptable job. So yeah, I'll try applying for that, and if I ever do get there, I don't know what the police force do for LGBT representation. I don't know if they do anything, because I've never seen a police officer with a name badge. You're not really supposed to have one, you have a number. You don't have a badge itself, like American cops have an actual badge. But UK police don't have a badge, it just says police. And then they've got a number on their uniform somewhere, usually on their shoulders. So I thought, you know, if they allow me to get some kind of rainbow patch or something like that, I thought, yeah, I'll do that. I want to do my bit for LGBT representation because I'm a member of the community, and I think, you know what, I've always wanted one of them silly name badge thing, rainbow things, so, you know, I'll have one. It does mean that my schedule would have to change, so I may not be awake at the same time as other people are currently, but that can be worked out. I know cops over there do suck ass. I've heard plenty of stories. It was actually a Canadian that had a big problem with it when I mentioned it. Now I wasn't speaking to them face to face, but I imagine if they did, they would probably look at me as if I was if I was speaking to them face to face, they'd probably give me a look that says, "Are you Adolf Hitler?" I think that was probably the expression that was on their face. Though they couldn't understand the fact that UK police do not have guns. Because in reality we just don't. We have a special unit that does have guns, but they're only called in if the bad guy, who is probably going to hurt somebody or himself, or themselves, really. It could be a lady. Could be anyone who has a gun, really. Crime is bigger in the male group, though. Or more numerous. So it's more likely to be a male. Especially if it has a gun, because then, well, they're from a gang, most likely, or a drugs ring or something like that. Because guns are very, very difficult to get in the United Kingdom. You would have to have them smuggled in from overseas, and that does probably cost a lot of money. So they will be quite a sizable operation going on there, with all sorts of connections in foreign countries, where they do have guns. But otherwise, no, UK police do not have guns. I don't think we're even allowed to have batons anymore. And we'd rarely use them, because violence of that nature is usually not needed. So instead you restrain somebody with your, well, you use your hands, don't you? To restrain somebody rather than smack them over the head with something or shoot them, because that's not, just not cricket, really. Even if I was given a gun, I rarely ever need to use it anyway, because like I said, people just don't have them here. Very rare that they do, and whenever they do, it's usually somebody else is on the receiving end of it, not the police themselves, because by the time the shooting has happened, well, the guy with the gun has already ran away. I shouldn't need to explain all this to people. I didn't really get a chance to explain any of it to them. They were very militant about it. I just see it as a you need to have some law enforcement somewhere. You can't just have nothing. Having nothing would be, well, every place in America would be like Detroit. And I know nobody wants that to happen. I'm sure Detroit isn't that bad, but still. Crime will be everywhere, considering owning a gun is fine in the United States. If you didn't have law enforcement, who's there to, well, enforce the law? Except for the army. And why would you want the army to come to something like that? Why would you want soldiers who have bigger guns? Why would you want them to deal with it? The people who are trained to kill. So, yeah, I'm just kind of sitting here saying, well, you need law enforcement. Sure, it should be better than what it is, but you can't just get rid of the whole thing. Because then you have the problem of there is no law and order. Am I right or am I right? I know somebody on Twitter will probably kill me for saying what I just said, even though it's perfectly reasonable. But, yeah. I don't understand why a career choice that I want to make is automatically out of the question because of something that happened in a country that isn't mine. What's the question? What's the question mark for? I don't know. Are you wondering what I just said? Or you're wondering what I just said? What I just said is I want to join the police in the UK. I have to stress it's in the UK because that's where I am. Obviously you two know that, but some people might not. And I will be a PCSO, which is a Police Community Support Officer. Last part. The last part was referring to the fact that people on Twitter would kill me for saying that law enforcement is needed when it ever so clearly is. They're in the camp of they want to demolish the law enforcement system rather than keep it and improve it, because they think that destroying something because it doesn't work is a good idea. To be brutally honest, we wouldn't be where we are. We take years. We take years? I mean, I think it's about 6 months, I think. To become a proper officer, yes, it does take quite a while. It doesn't take years. It does take quite a while, but not years. To become a PCSO, my training would be the same as an officer, except I wouldn't need to learn how to drive, because I'll just be a local. I'd just be posted locally, or wherever I wanted to really be posted. Most I would get is a bicycle, and my job is to basically be the police on the streets themselves, rather than in a car waiting for someone to call me. Training, some education. Training is mostly on the job. I'm sure they have lots of written tests and things like that. I think most of the training and education comes from on-the-job stuff, so I am technically going to be working, but I wouldn't be fully qualified for what it is. I think that's how it works. But I do know they're going to have loads of screening tests, which I will pass all of, because I've never been in trouble with the law for anything. Anything at all. I'm a good I'm a good citizen. Even if I did do a crime, I'm so innocent that I would never be suspected. I could rob a bank in broad daylight with my face being shown and then tell the officer, hey, it wasn't me, it was him, and they would probably believe me. Because I look so innocent and I act so innocent. Not to say I'm ever going to rob a bank, because I'm not. Saying if I was, I'm as harmless. In real life, I'm incredibly harmless. I look harmless. Which is probably not in the light. They probably want someone who looks very imposing. I'm not really imposing. I'm more the sort of friendly, can I help you type of person, which they would need. I'm just kind of saying that people in the fandom, people, especially on Twitter, because Twitter is a hellhole for stuff like that, is your job is bad because it's bad in one country in the world, and therefore every other officer in the world is to blame for this thing and everyone is evil. When in the United Kingdom we have a lot of rules and regulations and a very strict judicial system that means that stuff like what happened in America last year would never happen. And if it did happen, that would be instant dismissal. Instant dismissal, no questions asked. Because in the UK everyone is required to wear a body camera, and if it gets switched off, it's bye-bye for you. Because they'll assume that you did what everyone else said you did. And with the amount of CCTV that is in the UK, you can't really get away with doing anything anymore. That's just the truth. If a police officer does do something wrong, they will be caught on some CCTV system somewhere, because it's everywhere. I think someone once described the United Kingdom, oh it's a police state, or it's some sort of, oh it's invading my privacy. No, it's not. If you're not doing anything wrong, you shouldn't be bothered about being on camera. If you are doing something wrong, then yeah, you should be shitting yourself. But if you're not, then you shouldn't be worried. It needs to be. Anything happens to you, they have a record, so that you can say, yes, it was Billy Bob who assaulted me in the street. And then they would be able to look on camera and said, oh, that's very clearly Billy Bob there assaulting you. Yeah. Case closed. As opposed to in the United States, where I don't think they have very much of that, where it's more of a he said, she said kind of deal. Especially for officers. Officers can say whatever the bollocking hell they want. In the United States, officers can't say very much in the UK. Yeah, they can write written reports, and yes, they can give statements, but they are wearing a body camera at all times now. And if it ever gets turned off, that says to the judge, this thing that the person is alleging, first of all, you just broke conduct by turning it off. So you're already in trouble. Even if it does go wrong, you're still going to be in trouble because you didn't maintain it properly. That's the difference that we're talking here. But obviously the Canadian that decided to verbally abuse me and think I was the worst thing since I don't know, Mussolini, didn't seem to understand, because things really are that different with law enforcement here. I shouldn't have to explain this, because I think that people should be a bit more aware, conscious of what's happening in other parts of the world, and other parts of the world's stances on different things, rather than just be all, oh, it's all awful everywhere, because that's not the case. I don't know. I don't know what people's deal is nowadays. I hope the situation in the United States gets sorted out. I think they should take a leaf out of our book. I have never of an example where the policing system here has failed as badly as that. Never. And all of the racists and the homophobes and the whatever else that's bad are all weeded out. They're all weeded out in training. Because we have very strict the 1990s was when all of the unfairness as far as the UK law went was rooted out completely overnight. That's when all of the protections started to come into force properly. And there's a lot of different acts that have been passed since then to make that system stronger. The police force is deeply rooted in racism. It's complicated, but this is an issue that goes back to hundreds of years. The police system in the UK was focused around a man called Robert Peel, I believe. Because before that we didn't have any policemen at all. Or they were private policemen rather than regulated ones. And there was a time when it was illegal to be, illegal to be gay in the United Kingdom. That was around... That was abolished in 1967? 1967 is when that law was removed. So it was no longer illegal to be homosexual. Now that didn't change everything. Obviously people's opinions on the street were still very much a thing, but it meant that a police officer couldn't arrest you for being gay, but there were other things that they could arrest you for, which in a way, half of it I think is fine, half of it makes sense. The other fact was, in fact the police system was created to control the blacks when they were freed from slavery. Was it? So before that you didn't have any police. I see where the, yeah. I see. At the end of the day, I do hope it gets fixed, sorted, somewhere down the line. It probably has to at some point, otherwise, yeah. First institute to capture and bring them back, I see. That's terrible. Well, I can't sit here and say that we're not... I can't sit here and say that the UK hasn't had its own problems with social rights and everything like that. Problem being deeply rooted in race, I see. Well, I don't want it... You shouldn't abolish a system because it doesn't work now. You should improve it. That's... Abolishing it would essentially mean that you'd have to set something up in its place, and setting something up in its place, it would work, but you would have a period where nothing would be set up. And the problem is that there is racism in the system already. Reform, not abolished, I'm glad. Thank fuck for that. the problem that you have is there is racism within the system, so what you need to do is get rid of that. But some people call out for flat out abolishment, which I don't understand. I'm not in favour of it, I'm in form of reformation. Something has to change, then it changes. You don't get rid of it, because if you remove something every time it doesn't work properly, you'd end up with nothing at all. If you had, for example, I don't know, a hospital where some of the machines were not working properly, so then people obviously couldn't go on the life support machines or dialysis machines or things that are very important to keep people alive. If they weren't working and someone said, right, let's just tear down the whole hospital, that's stupid. But then if you replace the machines and the parts of the system that don't work and exchange them for things that do work, then it's fixed. And nobody is outside the hospital that was just demolished thinking, why the fuck have you done that? Now we're all going to die. At the end of the day, you need police officers to root out the racism in society, because society is its own thing. And if you allow something like community policing to happen, well, think about the South and its its religious, well, it seems a lot more religious than anywhere in the North, and its links to racism and slavery, its links are so strong that you need things like the police to enforce the laws to make sure that people in society aren't racist as well. If you allow for community policing, the entire of the South would basically just said, right, now that we're in charge, let's go and shoot the local gay guy living down the street, because we're now in charge of our own rules and regulations. In other words, it's back to the Old West, when, you know, you could have a fight in a saloon and then you both go outside and shoot each other, and whoever dies first loses. Basically going back to a time when there is no laws, or laws that people make up on the spot. So whoever suggested community policing was an idea in the age, well, it's Twitter. It's Twitter, it's that generation of people that thinks because Fred, whoever on Twitter said this was a good idea, they also think it's a good idea, but if they really think about it, it's not. Honestly, I just hope it gets fixed at the end of the day, and that no one ends up being hurt by this. Yeah, it's going to take a while, probably, but a lot of things have taken a while over the years. I mean, just look at the changes that happened with us. When we were going through the same, well, it's not exactly the same problem, it was less widespread, but it still was a problem, and it got sorted out, and it did take a while, but at the end of the day somebody finally said, hey, this is a problem, we need to fix it. If I'm rambling on, I do apologise. I don't know, sometimes I don't even know what I am saying. But I hope that when I do join, if I do, saying if, because, you know, I could just not be accepted. It is a job application, it's not as if I'm guaranteed to get anything. But if I am accepted and I am trained, then People that know me will know that I'm not the sort to abuse power, because I don't abuse power. Anyway, back onto... So there was a time when being gay in the UK was illegal. And then that was abolished. The law... KD the Fair Officer, indeed. Well, I should quote, not a proper officer. PCSO. I wouldn't be classed as a constable, but I'm technically an officer, technically not. End of the day, you can just say officer. Was the time when it was illegal to be gay, and then they removed that. And what ended up happening after that, because I should stress that gay culture in the UK at least was very it wasn't very, how should I say it, it wasn't in the public eye, so everything was behind closed doors, usually in public bathrooms is where gay men and women, not sure about gay women, I know gay men met there, usually. And the term for that is cottaging. So if someone says cottaging, that's what that is, because the public bathrooms used to be in buildings that looked like small cottages, you know, little village houses. Not intentionally, but that's what sort of style that they invoked, because they were such small places, you know. And then what officers used to do is try and catch people sleeping with each other in the bathrooms, so catch gay men. Now in reality, it is having sex in a public place, technically. And I feel like that is illegal. It's still illegal to do that, isn't it? And I think that the gay community have gotten... The truth is that they knew that people were doing that, and that's why they went into the bathrooms to try and catch them out. And I think the gay community kind of misconstrued that as being deliberately against the gay community, but to be honest, it was the gay community only that were really doing that. So it's a double-edged sword. I am saying that obviously they shouldn't be sleeping with each other in public bathrooms, because it's public property and therefore it's legal. It wasn't illegal to do it in your own home. It's illegal to do it outside your home. So it's not specifically against the gay community, but it was the gay community that was doing that at the time. It's important for context. And obviously gay rights have improved since then, but it was really the abolishment of the law against it that changed things. UK has had its share of racism as well. That's mostly because of immigration and emigration, really. I think in the 40s and the 50s it was people who were black from... That's the Windrush generation, because they came on the ship known as the Windrush, and there was recently a scandal around that where people were denied citizenship. That was, to be honest, that was the government's fault. That wasn't the people's fault, that was the government's fault, because they fucked up. That was construed as racism at the time. I think now we understand it as it was the government fucking up with their own rules and regulations. and not understanding that yes, they are British citizens and they were given proper citizenship at that time. But it is very similar to what was happening in India a little while ago, where people who are Muslim are being kicked out of the country, forcibly removed. And modern audiences may not understand why that's even happening to begin with. It may not make a lot of sense, because the people who are there who are Muslim and are citizens do belong there, legally. And I'll get onto it in a minute why that is. But where's the rest of the stuff? I'll play another thing for you. We have 3 people watching the stream. I'm not sure who the 4th person is. And Alyssa and Hope are here. Should I even do this? Because I don't know how far away things are in relation to each other. I hope the history lesson doesn't bore you. Let's try this one. Why not? I need to edit that one. Is a history lesson boring you? I'll stop talking about it if it's not boring you. If it is boring you, I mean. Middlesbrough to Darlington. Yes. Yes, please. Right. Select every station. Also, the down directional button isn't working for some reason now, even though it was earlier on. I may need a new controller. I probably will do. To be honest, I'll see about getting one. I'm glad it's not boring you. What do I want to drive? Good question. I'd say the class 45? Yeah, I'll take the class 45, why not? And what time is this going to be at? Come in the afternoon, so should be able to see. That's interesting to hear a UK point of view. So, I began in the 40s, didn't I? Yeah. So in the 40s it was the Windrush generation, 40s and 50s, that's when people who are of the black and sort of black Caribbean community came over to the UK. And they were official citizens, and still are. And then in the 60s, it was the 60s and 70s, the Asian community, so the people from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, that sort of part of the world. And then in the 90s it then became about people from Poland and Eastern Europe. So the UK has had a lot of visitors really from different parts of the world. Not really visitors because they are citizens, but still. And the UK is very multicultural. Can I lower this seat? Oh, that's the back, okay. Can I actually... Yeah, because I probably need to lower the seat to see over the thing, yeah. Oh dear. Master key is there. Engine should not be running, and I don't think it is. Good. Engine only. So what else? Yeah, so the Asian community in the 60s and 70s, which is technically my community. Spare switch, no I don't need that. Cab heaters, huh? Lighting, engine room lighting. Nose light. Yep. So when the light comes on in there, then you can see. Tell it's on. Tail light, do not need that. We're in no rush. So that was that. And I don't think it's always really had, it's had issues throughout time because of new people coming to the UK. And I think after the 50s, then we obviously went into the 60s with the Asian community. So whilst people who were black and Caribbean have pretty much been accepted into Britain, it then becomes apparent that those people are now citizens and those people have been living in the UK for 10, 20 years. So then those people may themselves have their own prejudices to the people who were, to the Asian community who were moving in the 60s and the 70s. So it's not just the people who are British and white that had the problem. Welcome, Danny. I'm doing a history lesson. I've got onto UK racism and a little bit of politics, kind of. But it's not really, it's not too in-depth, there's a lot more to it than... I think the engine's on. Should be. If I take the brake off, will it be on? Let's try. Oh yeah, we got actual power. Good. So yeah. And then it's always had its problems. There's a horn, it's very high pitched. And AWS is not on, and I should have really turned it on, to be honest. I can turn it on whilst I'm moving. It's up here, is it? It's somewhere. Cab light. Why is there a cab light switch there? AWS should be somewhere. Have I forgotten how to do it? I must have done. Oh dear. I did write a guide somewhere about how to use this one. Let me just very quickly look that up whilst I'm on my computer, but so I'll still keep talking. I am actually feeling a little bit better. I think it's because I got some stuff off my chest to begin with. So with all that in mind, it's very multicultural, the UK. And I don't think it's had its own problems with racism as well as discrimination against different sexualities and religions and all of this. I did say that India was trying to push out the Muslim community, and it is, and there's a reason for that. It's because Hindus and Muslims have never gotten on. And the reason that Pakistan was created as a nation is because India wouldn't accept Islam inside of it. So everyone who is Islamic basically said, right, I'm going to make another country, fuck you. In a violent way, might I add. India and Pakistan are rivals, and they always will be, because of that issue. Do you need to find the right thing? I know I bookmarked the page where I need to find how to use this one. Transfer 9, yep. And that's why Pakistan exists as a nation, because of religious discrimination and pushing out people who are Muslim. So people who are Muslim made Pakistan as a country, using land that they forcibly took from India to make it. It's not the same as how Israel was made, although some people could compare it to that. I think Pakistan was made in the 50s, I think. I'm looking that up to make sure. I'm also trying to figure out how to apply AWS. Under the driver's seat. It's underneath the driver's seat. Okay. So, underneath the driver. I'm probably going to need the other control scheme for that. I'll switch it over momentarily. Because there's two different control schemes. There's the classic one, and then there's the immersive one. The immersive one is from the sequel game. Driver stand, is it? Overhead panel outside. Oh, no. So I guess it is under the seat somehow. Though how do I get under there is a different story. If you're unable to just reading the instructions, if you want to be under the driver's seat. That doesn't sound right to me. It doesn't seem like under the driver's seat. I don't understand how it can be underneath the driver's seat and it's not a clickable thing. Under the driver's seat, that's a very strange thing. Oh! So it's technically not under the driver's seat then, is it? It's next to it. You stupid... Okay, AWS isolation lever, where is that? I found the cab changeover one. Isolation lever. There's gonna be a lever. Oh. Got it. I've got it. Nice. Okay. Brilliant. I do apologise for that, I had to go find it, but now I know where it is. Right. Okay, so Pakistan was created in 1947, so not in the 50s, 1947. As a safe haven for people who were Muslim. And at the time, India was ruled by the British, although India gained independence in, I believe, the 60s. But Pakistan gained independence as a sort of region and became its own country in 1947. And India wants to get rid of the Muslim population because it's always disliked that particular religion. Exactly why, I don't know. It's probably deep-rooted somewhere, and it's probably very complicated to explain in just me telling you. But that kind of... I think that kind of highlights the things about divisions. I like history. I like recounting it. And I like telling people about history. So yeah, I think rights for minorities have been pretty good with the United Kingdom. It's been pretty fast moving. Pretty much about 10 years after something becomes an issue, it's resolved 10 years later at the latest. Not to say that there isn't still problems, because there are, but they're not as numerous as they once would have been without that new legislation and the new new stuff that stops it from... I'm using the... what? Am I still in the classic controls? I think I am. I shouldn't be, because I've gotten used to the immersive ones. Yeah. Switch back over. It's nice that I can even switch over like that though. The classic system does let me have more interesting camera angles and let me explore a lot more. But the immersive system is nicer because I can open the doors without having to go into an individual menu. So there's no real overlays that trigger... there's no real overlays that happen with the immersive system, because it's meant to sort of immerse you more than the old system would have. Not to say it doesn't have its drawbacks, like I said, it doesn't have as many dynamic camera angles, or you can't really move the camera around all that much. So it does have its limitations. But overall, the immersion system is fine. It just depends on what you want to do when you're playing the game. It only applies to... I think the classic system is only available on classic routes, so things from the original Train Sim world. But it's nice that they even have it here. If you got used to that system, you can still use it if you want to. Not sure if it works with the new trains that they've added, but I'm sure it works with all the old ones and all the old content, so that's good. Speaking of religious divides, Ireland. And when I'm talking about Ireland, I have to say which specific part of Ireland. So Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland are two completely different nations. They didn't used to be. I believe the Northern Ireland was created to be owned by the United Kingdom after the original round of violence in Ireland. Which happened in 1916, so in the middle of the First World War. It's basically like a civil war, because the Irish were, I believe, unhappy. Why have I got a red signal? That is worrying me now. Oh, because I'm in reverse. Right, if I go into forward. So the period known as the Troubles in Ireland and Northern Ireland is the part which is... Oh no, it is a red signal. Oh, because I proceeded beyond the... Oh, for goodness sake. Never mind, I'll do something else. So that period was between Catholics and Protestants, but the reason that it was because of Catholics and Protestants was because that was what was associated with the different standpoints politically that were going on in Ireland at the time. And it's a complex matter to sum up in just a little while, but I hope that I'm a good enough teacher to explain that period in history. And its effects have been felt further than Ireland. The IRA, which is a terrorist group, which still technically does exist, is part of the Catholic Republic of Ireland sort of campaign, if you will. And they were responsible for a lot of terrorist attacks, which did reach as far as New York, I believe. I think they did attacks the subway in New York at some point in time, probably quite a while before 9/11 as well. So this might be the 80s or the 90s. The IRA has also attacked places in the mainland United Kingdom as well as in Europe as well. They are evil bastards. And I know that it's kind of obvious, but in some people's view, they were fine with that. I need to... Right. I'll take a small break and then I'll explain it as best I can when I decide what I want to do, if that's okay with you guys. Is that okay with you guys, or if you want me to explain that and talk about it? I'll just sort these out. Need to get some practice on this line. Class 66 I'll be using. Yeah, that's fine. Awesome. Awesome, because I hope I don't bore people by explaining things like that. I find it interesting. It's tragic, but it's interesting. I'll be right back. Alright, I am back, and I'll start driving again. Same route as I was doing before, train. So, yes, the troubles in Ireland. Let's start. Before I do that though, Danny, you missed stuff about. Basically, I'm unwell. I talked about that. I messaged you about that yesterday. I'm feeling exactly the same way, pretty much. But I don't know what's down to. It might be depression. It might be something. It might be that I have COVID. It might be something else. My dad was diagnosed with it. He got a positive test. My mum might have it. She's got severe health issues, so that's worrying me a bit. And I don't know whether she spread it to me when she visited. She could have done, she maybe didn't, I don't know. I haven't been tested, and I can't really go out and get tested because I can't drive, and they're doing drive-in testing mostly nowadays. Apply the direct brake and remove the automatic one. But I will, if this just passes tomorrow, then it's fine, you know? I am feeling better now that I've got all that stuff off my chest, so maybe it was just depression acting up. Daytime running. Tail lights do not need to be on this car. Instrument lights. Disc lights, cab lights. I think the engine is off. It should be off. Rear of the cab I don't think needs setting up really. I think it's already got the tail lights going on. DSD is on. AWS. There we go. Into neutral. Turn it to start, stop, isolate. I hope I feel better soon as well. The engine is on. And also you missed stuff about the rainbow, which is the generic name for trains that have been given a rainbow paint scheme for things like Pride. And it is a real thing. It is things that happen on British Railways. The operators paint the trains in that colour scheme with a rainbow. And there is a rainbow colour scheme that is coming in the next DLC that I mentioned, South Eastern High Speed. Now the number of the train that has that, they have put into the game. They will be putting that in. And the number of the train is 395012. So if I get that train, I'll get a special rainbow on the train for things like Pride. But it is a random thing. I may not get exactly that number of train. I may get 395013, which wouldn't have it, but 012 does have it. But either way, I'm tempted to make special liveries for the trains that I can do those for with rainbows on, so hey, might as well try and do that maybe. A little bit of LGBT, sorry. I can't really say the acronym very quickly, otherwise I get confuddled. LGBTQ+. There we go. LGBTQ+. Try saying that 15 times fast. Anyway, yeah, so all of that is in an article above in the chat if you want to look, if it even loads it. I don't know if it does on YouTube or not, loads previous chat messages. There is an article there which you can go and look at if you want to, or I can share it again if you want. The troubles in Ireland is a period of political and religious issues. The Irish in the Republic of Ireland were very unhappy that the British owned Northern Ireland, and so they wanted to unify it. And the majority of the Republic of Ireland is Catholic, and the majority of Northern Ireland is Protestant in terms of Christianity denominations. The thing is that people started to associate being Catholic with being a unionist, not a unionist, with being interested in the reunification of Ireland, so that the whole island belonged to the Irish government and would be under Catholic rules and regulations. And people started to associate being Protestant with wanting to remain part of the United Kingdom, so not wanting a reunified Ireland. And in the 60s, this is when the Troubles began, and that is when people started using violence to get what they wanted. When things like the IRA started being set up. Now the Northern Irish did have their own violent groups, but the IRA are the most famous, and those were based in the Republic of Ireland and did want to fight for a united Ireland, and so would use what can only be described as terrorism to make that happen. And when I say terrorism, I really do mean terrorism, like car bombs, or setting off bombs in bus stations, or busy shopping areas. And these weren't really planned or targeted towards really anyone. What they wanted to do was scare people into giving them what they wanted. And they wouldn't really care if they killed a Catholic person or a Protestant person or somebody who believed in their cause or somebody who didn't. They didn't really care. They were more bothered about causing as much pain and suffering as possible. Now the British obviously have a hand in this because they were responsible for putting a stop to that and making the violence end. And I think at one point a British soldier was trialled for killing what they thought was a member of the IRA. It turned out they weren't, but they were on the street and they were being violent at the time. And so the soldier was trialled for that. Now I don't think that he was wrong, because at the time that person was actually armed. Because he killed them, that's the problem. Apparently, that was wrong of him to do. And the Troubles technically ended in 1998 when the Good Friday Agreement was signed, which was between lead members of the IRA and basically all the governmental powers that are involved. And it was an agreement, yes, we will stop killing each other and we will stop putting car bombs together, we will stop doing this. In reality, that didn't really happen. If you've ever looked at if you ever do a Google search and you try and look at the Northern Irish police, you'll find that they travel around in armoured bulletproof Land Rovers. So they travel around in bulletproof cars. And I imagine that they have a degree of explosive proofness about them. Because the IRA is still a thing, and they do occasionally attack places in Northern Ireland. So if you ever hear about a bomb going off in Northern Ireland, it's the IRA that have done it. And they are still a thing, and I really wish that they weren't. They're responsible for a lot. A lot. I can't remember when the worst... I think the worst bombing happened in Belfast, which is the capital of Northern Ireland, which isn't that far away from Dublin, which is the capital of the Republic of Ireland. Unfortunately, I think it was 9 people were killed by a car bomb. I think it was named as It was named as Bloody Sunday because it happened on a Sunday, and also it was terrible. The IRA didn't do just one attack, they did multiple across Belfast in one day. And one of the victims was unfortunately I think he was 8 years old, an 8-year-old kid who was actually next to the car when it blew up. And lots of people in a bus station somewhere, one of the bus depots, happened there as well. I think that there's many documentaries about it that can explain things a lot better than I possibly ever can. But it's a tragic time all around for everyone involved in that. And communities never really have recovered from that. The problem was with the older generation telling children, you shouldn't play with Billy at school because he's a Catholic, or you shouldn't talk to Deborah because she's a Protestant. As if Catholics and Protestants didn't argue enough already. Now they've got stuff like unification of Ireland to argue about. And it was basically an issue with the older generation having the issue and the younger ones sort of being brainwashed into thinking that that was acceptable to hold those feelings. Nowadays they've wisened up. Nowadays the younger generation just tolerates everybody and everyone. It's the parents that have a problem, and they used to divide up Catholic and Protestant communities in Northern Ireland with giant walls. I believe that they do a similar thing in the United States in some places where they try and divide up communities by using walls as well. Only this time these walls are quite high because they used to throw things like petrol bombs over. It's not an issue of one side is worse than the other, because they really aren't. Both sides really were that angry with each other that they would just throw a petrol bomb over the wall and not care who it hit, or whose house they damaged, or anything like that. People still do feel the effects of that. They still haven't torn the walls down, they still are there, they've just been heavily graffitied over. And they have very, very nice mural, well, I say nice, they're painted very well by proper artists, but they have murals on them that depict the times of the Troubles very well. I think, you know what, those walls should kind of stay there as a reminder that is what happened. If you just get rid of them, and then maybe history won't even remember it. But with that, anyone who visits Belfast will see the effects and will understand this did genuinely happen, and this is a lesson for the future. The communities are beginning to feel less divided than they used to be, but there is still some feelings there. The IRA is still a thing. It's just a matter of finding them and rooting them out, really, is the problem. A lot of the members could be anyone, really. That was what made it so difficult. They weren't organised. They were an organised group, but they weren't so obvious that you could pick them out in the street. They just looked like any other person who is Irish, or could be a factory worker or a teacher or anybody. You couldn't tell who they were, and what they did. And I think there's lots of unsolved terrorist attacks where they still don't know who the masterminds were behind it. They know it was the IRA, they just don't know who was responsible. So that's why a lot of these have been unsolved. There was a point in the 70s where they attacked a shopping centre in the UK, I think. Or a bar, or somewhere like that. And they still haven't found the men or women or whoever responsible for putting the bomb there in the first place, because they didn't kill themselves. It wasn't a matter of suicide, it was a matter of drop a bomb and run. So they could still very well be alive, people responsible for that. And not just the people who, damn it, I missed that. Not just the people who set the bomb and made it, more so the people who helped to organise the whole thing. Who could be, like I said, anyone. And with no real evidence left behind at the site, well, good luck. Good luck trying to find who it is. So yeah, that's that period of history condensed. And I don't know how many people know that even happened. They also have been responsible for some attacks in Europe and also in the United States. Pre 9/11. Which in and of itself was a terrible thing to have happened. But I can't even think... I've never understood why... I mean, when I was growing up at school, it was a little bit difficult in the post 9/11 phase. Because that's when people of my skin tone were considered to be, how should I put it, complacent, or assumed to be radical or dangerous. As if there wasn't any animosity at all, because there were still some things in the Asian and British community. Then when 9/11 happened, everybody suddenly started throwing the word terrorist at me. Because, I don't know. I mean, can a 14-year-old kid be responsible for that? No. I don't see the logic in it. Oh, by the way, the IRA are white. All of them, because they're all Irish. I never understood why they had been responsible for terrorism since the 50s. I don't understand why no one ever threw that at somebody who was Irish. I mean, I'm sure some people did. I'm sure some people did say, "Oh, you're Irish. That means you must be making a car bomb somewhere." I just never understood why that didn't get the same amount. It's wrong either way. But I'm just kind of sitting here thinking, well, if you're going to throw things like that at me, you should be throwing things like that at the Irish, because they've done far more to the British than quote-unquote my people have. Whoever my people are, because I'm mixed race. I have two different people. Historically, I'm sure one hated the other. So I don't know where I'm supposed to fit in. You know what, I don't really care. "9/11 made it difficult, and it's the radical Islamic part that is making life difficult for people who are of that skin tone. They're making it difficult for people who are... Oh, it's red, oh dear. Oh well, I passed into the other thing, so it should, yeah. I get it. I get why that happened. I'm gonna have a go at making a rainbow on the train right now, actually, in the scenario editing thing. So yeah, there's some history for today. You learn all sorts, don't you? Let's do this one, BR406. New one. Yes, please. And growing up, I didn't have any prejudices. I don't fit in anywhere near. I didn't have any prejudices growing up because I just didn't fit in anywhere. So I didn't understand the concept of what race was because I went home to a white mother and a non-white father. Granted, there was obviously some domestic issues going on there, but yeah, for the most part, I didn't have any prejudices towards anyone because I didn't understand what race was. I didn't understand that making it white because then the rest of the colours kind of show up a lot better, and then I can change that. Add a new layer, yeah please. But yeah, I didn't understand race or any of the concepts behind it, and I didn't really feel... Actually, it should have been I should have done the whole thing a different colour. I didn't understand race. Oh, I'll have to make it black then, because every other colour is in the rainbow. Right, I need to know the sizes of things, so this will help it show up. Most who had a problem with me were other black people. I know, I've had plenty of things from different races and religions and all that bullshit. I've had it from, well, it could be anyone really. Fucked me up as a kid, but I don't care anymore. At the end of the day, I've never been guilty of it, so I don't see any problem really. I'm not guilty. I never had any prejudices. I didn't understand what race was. I didn't understand when someone called me a racist name. I didn't understand it. End of story. I was... Call me stupid for not understanding, but I just didn't. And I didn't know when somebody said, "Oh, you're mixed race, that must be difficult," and I thought, what the fuck are you talking about? How do you mean it's difficult? I breathe the same oxygen as you. It's not that difficult. I wasn't born with any severe disabilities or health conditions or anything like that. How do you mean it's difficult? And then I understood years later, and I thought, oh, that's what you meant. So yeah. I've just never lived in that world. I don't mind it now, because, yeah, I understand what they meant, but I'm not bothered. Only for about 5 seconds, and then... I suddenly realised, well, if a white guy just said that to me, then he's going to perish in the desert before I do. That's what I like to say. I think, oh, I've got more melanin than you, so that means I won't boil as quickly in the desert, so ha ha ha. And then obviously he won't have issues like sickle cell anemia, which runs in the sort of Middle Eastern kind of group. Gene-wise, it's a mutation on its own. So he won't have problems with that because his genes don't have the ability to cause that. But like I said, there's no real benefit, no real superior race over another because each one has its own features. But it also has its own drawbacks. So I think we're all on an equal playing field, and it's always been that way. It's just that some people don't see it that way, being very stupid. I'll make my rainbow train in a moment. I'll take another break, and I'll be right back. Wireless controller disconnected. That's weird. That's very weird. Does it need charging? If it goes off again, I'll then charge it a bit. Part of me thinks it probably shouldn't. And now I need to look at what the colours of the rainbow are if I place it on its side. I know I should know, but Google.com wants to know your location. That's nice. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, greenbow, indigo, violet. Right. Roy G. Biv. Well, I need to know the rainbow flag and what order that one goes in. Red, orange, yellow, green, green. Yeah. So I have to put it on its side. And I'm going to put it... I'm going to move this. It's going to be the start of my rainbow. I'll put it right here. And I'll copy that, put it up. Yep. I really wish there was just a line tool here so I can make a line straight up that I have to keep copying and pasting and moving up. Should work eventually. Just takes a little while. Yeah, and then the other one on the other side. Oh. Yeah, is that fine? Yeah. Now I can change the colour of all of these. So red. Yep. Red again. Very quite a strong red. But how do I follow that up? What do I talk about now? I don't know. I should copy and paste. Should put everyone on the side. Group those together, and then I can change the side. Oh, copy it and then change the side to the right. Copy that. Move that over. Ah, that's annoying. Can't change the colour of that individually, right. Alright, I'll just have to keep placing squares. On the left, yeah. How do I follow that up? I do apologise if you can hear the PS4 in the background. It does make noise because it's an old model and the fans are not doing too great right now. They unfortunately have the problem of getting a lot of dust in them, or in the vents I should say. It's not very slightly not, is it? That is annoying. This one makes a lot of noise too, gotta clean it, but I'm scared. The proper method apparently is to use compressed air in a can and then use a tube to kind of go into the places, and by compressed air, let me get rid of that. Start again. So maybe it won't go up. It's only folding over because it's the same thing. This is going to be orange. That kind of orange, isn't it? Yeah. That kind of orange, I think. There are many, many, many shades of different colours. Many. Unfortunately, I don't have hex codes in here, so I have to rely on... Actually, it's kind of a brighter orange than that, isn't it? Let's do something else then. It's barely making much of a difference. That's not even... Oh, it's that one down there. Oh. Try this one. I think I was closer the first time. Yeah. Everyone knows it's a rainbow. Everyone knows it's orange. Doesn't really matter. Compressed air in a kind of like a can. Special spray can. That also works with computer fans and laptop fans, which I'm supposed to be getting. They don't really recommend you use anything else, and they only recommend it in short bursts, otherwise you'll apparently break the fans because it'll spin that fast. But overall, I suppose it's not going to be that bad. Ship. Damn it. I think that's correct. Make sure there's no space. Nice. I suppose what I'll do is I'll copy and paste it to the other ones. I'll make that red so I know it's not. Okay. Move that. I have to change all these ones to red, orange, yellow. Which I can't, to be honest, see. Yeah, it's an okay yellow, I think. This is a very lengthy process, but there is a bit of good news. I think I can kind of group them all together and then move the whole rainbow eventually. Those are all part of one group. Copy, change side to the right. Confirm, yeah. I'll make this one a different colour, white, yeah. Sorry for the lack of talking. It's an acceptable green. It's actually quite a bit darker than that, isn't it? Darker green, I think that probably will work. Yeah. Oh. Yep, okay. And the next colour along, red, orange, yellow, green, blue. Wait, does the pride flag only have purple, doesn't have indigo? That's weird. I thought it always had two variations of purple, but no. That's according to Google. Should move that, shouldn't I? Make that one red. Doesn't look like it's the same size, does it? I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. This one has to be blue. It's all about really getting what kind of blue it is, though. It looks a bit like that. Thought that's close enough, isn't it? And then I'll drive this train somewhere when I've finished with all of this. This time remember to save my progress. Didn't last time and it all went a bit pear-shaped. Place. And this one should be the purple. Which is a dark sort of purple, which is like that. Ah, wait. Yep, that's fine. It's fine there. Okay. Oh. There. same thing on the other side. Nice. Do these have any problems with that? Not really. Okay. Ah, this one has a problem with it. Balls. There we go, that kind of covers it up on that end as well. Good. And also needs this one copying, doesn't it? Oh. There. The green having a problem. Don't think that's too much of an issue. And if we look back there, it's our little rainbow. It should be on the other side as well, and on the top. I'd say I did pretty okay with that. Now I have to paint the whole train. I don't know what colour to paint the whole train, but you can suggest some if you want. Got the whole colour wheel. Well, every possible colour we could possibly have. I'll leave it in black for the moment while you guys maybe throw some suggestions my way. I can paint each car individually, so each carriage. This front one counts as this one, this is the next one, next one, next one, next one, and then the next one along, next one along. So there's, I think there's one at the rear, isn't there, that I think both of these will be the same, won't they? Maybe. The other one, and the other one, W5, SWB, TW7. Ah, you see the rear one has it as well, so the rear and the front are going to be the same. Now I can kind of ungroup all of these and then group them all together and then move that around. So I can have the rainbow on all of the other ones. I'll look, oh. I guess I should put them all together, shouldn't I? Oh, you can only have... Oh... Oh no. Never mind. You can only have as many as those, I guess. Now I have to choose a main colour for the whole thing. Maybe white is a good option for right now. Now what happened to that? Oh. Oh dear. TR. And we want an A. TR A. Okay. I should probably save. Quit out save and then come back. Because I remember it did actually cause an error in the game itself the last time I was trying to make one of these. So was this one. I'll just rename it to Trainbow because that's kind of what it is. Rainbow. Just making sure. Because when it does cause an error, it obviously won't save, and also the stream will end on its own because it needs to have the application it's streaming from open. So layers, I'm going to get an eye. rainbow in black like the other ones. Train. Hey. Oh. It's kind of... It's difficult to line these up, really. I should have put a line down below. Guess I could. Train... I bet this is so much easier on PC. I bet it is. That A is that I really big, or does that look fine? I mean, is that even lined up? It looks like it isn't. Because that N looks massive. For some reason, I don't know. Is it a trick of the angle, or I don't know, something like that. Rainbow. Oh. Oh, Carruthers, you shouldn't have. Rainbow. This is a painstaking process, I know, but once it's done, it means I can use it forever after, pretty much. As long as it doesn't crash the game when I start driving it. And I remember I did make one before, and when I did go into the game, it ended up crashing it. Rainbow. The more I look at it, the more this eye just looks wrong, as it... But it shouldn't, because... I'm sure somebody with excessive attention to detail would notice if none of these are lined up, but I do not know if they are or they aren't, because I'm not one of those people who can easily tell. Yeah, okay. Trainbow. Right, one more letter and then we've done the trainbow. Then I just have to group these all together and copy and paste them along. Have I got all this wrong? Maybe it was the B that was causing the issue. And then all the other letters are wrong as well because of the B. Mm. Guess that'll have to do, right? Probably. That W looks weird, doesn't it? All the other letters look fine except that W, I don't know why. Anyway. Group those together. Copy it. K inside. Copy to other cars. Yep. Yep. Now they're all written on that side. That one's fine. This one's fine. Fine. I can properly inspect it whenever I... yeah. Right, I think that's fine. Right, these ones ought to be on top. That one doesn't need it. Why is that not working? Because the layer limit, maybe. Yeah, I'm gonna have to leave it as it is, I think. And now I can use it in the game itself. And hopefully when I inspect it everything should look fine. and hopefully it won't crash the game. Should probably test it on where it was intended to go. It's all the way somewhere at the bottom. BR406. Rainbow. Right, let's see it in the game itself. See if my hard work is paid off. Also, I've been streaming for 3 hours and 13 minutes. That's a long time. There's another DLC which has the exact same train except it's got a green stripe on it and it's slightly more modernised. It's the exact same train, has the exact same performance. It does speak German. High beams. Does the pantograph actually need to go up? It doesn't need to go up in this mode, but can I put it up? Did it actually just not come up? Closed, yeah. Alright then, well let's go. Rainbow. Let's check that it's on all of the cars. Rainbow. Oh, the pantograph has raised. Well, I'll be damned. Rainbow, yep. Is it alright on this side? Rainbow. Would have been nice to have something on that, but Rainbow. It's all completely okay. It didn't crash the game either when I started it up, so that's nice. So the rear pantographs have raised, have they? That's nice. It just, yeah.